with Dan Slott's run ending about a week or so ago, well, 2 weeks technically, or a week and a half, I don't know. But point is that Dan Slott has officially ended his Spider-Man run, and for a lot of us, that's like, yay, because Dan, you stayed too long on the book. You stayed way too damn long on the book. And while I'm still iffy about Nick Spencer on Spider-Man, I read the free comic book day issue for Nick Spencer's Spider-Man, and Ryan Otterly's artwork is great. Nick Spencer has a good voice for Spider-Man, but that was just one issue. But I'm a little more less tense on it. But I'm still having Secret Empire flashbacks. Like it hasn't gone away. I know that wasn't totally your fault, Spencer, but still, yeah. Anyway, so. But going back to what I was saying, with Dan Slott officially ending his run, funny enough, I actually finished reading one of his earlier works on Spider-Man, when he first started his Spider-Man run. And, yeah, I decided to to do a review, and funny enough, it's kind of funny I was talking about this, because I actually got this at a convention where I got the Fire and Stone comics and all that, and I was and also that Terminator crossover. But yeah, funny enough, with Dan Slott ending his run, I figured, it's the perfect time to do a review on one of his earlier works, and probably one of his better works. And that is Spider-Man New Ways to Die, which was a 6-part story arc that was pretty much Spider-Man versus Norman Osborn and the Thunderbolts. Now, funny enough, we were coming off of Brand New Day, which a lot of people were like, fuck this book, very hard. But yeah, Dan Slott really, when he started his run on Brand New Day, it was a breath of, when he really got the run going, and when he did New Ways to Die, it feels like, almost like a updated version of classic Spider-Man stories. It really does feel like a classic Spider-Man story with some new updates here and there. And yeah, because it was really great to have Norman Osborn back and have classic Spider-Man villains back in the comic. It was really nice to have that. Now, keep in mind, yes, this is also like when Peter Parker no longer has the marriage and everyone's forgotten who he is, and that bothers me because there are points in here where Norman shows up and he's like, yes, I think I've used Parker in my schemes to stop Spider-Man, and I'm like, the least you could have done, Mephisto, is at least have Norman remember everything. Even the symbiote can't remember, or Eddie can't remember. It's it bothers me, but that's just on a whole. But that just bothers me as a reader, but whatever. Now, the comic is really good, and the artwork is done by John Romita Jr. And John Romita Jr., for me, is very hit and miss. Because he can be really good, but when he falls off the mark, it sucks. His artwork can be so bad at points. However, I think his best work is in Spider-Man, and it shows here. He does the entire story arc, the artwork for the entire story arc, and yeah, it's really good. His artwork, Romita Jr.'s artwork in here, is really damn good. It feels again, like I said earlier, his best stuff is his Spider-Man stuff. When he's drawing Spider-Man, it's great. There's a 2-page spread towards the end of the comic, and trust me, you'll know it when you see it, that made me go, yeah. Oh yeah, he's still got, this is where he really shines. Not when he's doing Bendis' Avengers, no, but when he's doing, street-level characters, and like I said, Spider-Man especially. So yes, this is the storyline where Norman Osborn is hunting Spider-Man, because yes, we are still in that kind of post-Civil War, we're getting closer to Dark Reign, we're getting closer to Secret Invasion, which then would lead to Dark Reign. So we're in that kind of time frame, and the Thunderbolts in here are Norman, of course, along with Songbird and Radioactive Man with Mac Gargan, Venom, and Bullseye. Which, by the way, Dan, I don't know if you were reading Thunderbolts at the time by Warren Ellis, but there are points where Bullseye's just walking around and part of the team, and actually, did Dan not read that comic because, like, Bullseye, and yes, there are points where Bullseye's chained up, but there are other times where he's just walking around with the team. Not out in public, mind you, but, like, there are points where he's just walking around outside with the team when they're having meetings and stuff, and Bullseye in the comics get briefed differently and away from everyone else because, yeah, it's fucking Bullseye! He fucking kills people! For fun! I'm just saying, and yeah, there's also a point where Bullseye tracks down Spider-Man, but there's civilians, and he actually calls Norman and is like, hey, should we wait until the civilians move? And I'm like, Bullseye would not call him. He'd be like, fuck it, and just tear everything apart. That would, and just, and Norman would be like, oh, well, casualty, you know, collateral damage and all that. That'd be fine. So what the fuck's the point? There's also some neat stuff between Harry and Norman. We also get some other new Spider-Man villains from Brand New Day, like Menace, who they totally try to build up as, like, Harry, but it's like, I was like, man, I already know who Menace is, and if you don't remember who Menace is, good job. It's like one of, like so many other Spider-Man Brand New Day villains, like Paper Doll, and, okay, let's be honest, the only character, the only, like, Brand New Day Spider-Man villain that anyone gives a shit about is Mr. Negative. And he does show up in here, but they kind of reveal his identity. This is where they reveal his identity. But yeah, that was the storyline that made everyone go, yeah, and Menace is in here, and everyone's like, oh, is Menace Harry Osborn? And it's like, no, it's Lily Hollister, his girlfriend at the time. Yeah, that's a whole thing that's bullshit. Yeah, no one gives a shit about those characters. No one. No one outside of, and even Mr. Negative is a stretch, to be honest. But anyway, so this is, you know, there's some nice stuff in here. Peter is really, you know, pushed to the limit at points. And yes, this is also the story arc that brought Eddie back as Anti-Venom. And Anti-Venom is really, it's really cool to see Eddie. It was really cool. I can only imagine for readers at the time, you know, to see Eddie Brock back and, because he had been gone for so long, and to have him be Anti-Venom again, you know, excuse me, to have a symbiote of sorts in there is really cool. I can only imagine how readers felt of having all this back, and a lot of people seeing, you know, Matt Gargan as kind of Scorpion again. There was, I can understand why a lot of Spider-Man readers really dug early Dan Slott, the Dan Slott's early run, because it was like it was like back to basics. It was like back to what made Spider-Man great. It was back to what Spider-Man was all about. Not this Brand New Day shit with all these lame-ass villains. The Freak? Are you kidding me? He shows up in here and I don't give a shit about him. In fact, I don't even think the Freak's around, or any of these Spider-Man new Spider-Man villains. The only one really is Mr. Negative. But yeah, this was a storyline that had that brought back a lot of what you loved about Spider-Man. Again, you had Venom, you had Norman Osborn as the Green Goblin. You had Harry Osborn, you had Peter, you know, trying to juggle his life. It feels a lot like classic Spider-Man, just updated a bit. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, I don't hate Dan. While I and several others don't really care much for what Dan Slott did later on, you gotta admit, his early stuff like this, and even up to Spider Island, is good. It's good stuff. It's good Spider-Man stuff. And this is a testament to what made Dan Slott really good as a Spider-Man writer. At least in my opinion. Again, did he stay on the book too long? Yeah. But if you want to read, like, fun Spider-Man stuff and early Dan Slott stuff that is actually, like, worth checking out, yeah. This is a testament. I think New Ways to Die is a testament to that. I think it's a great testament to Dan Slott's early work, and showed why people enjoyed him so much on the book, and probably one of the reasons why he got to stay on as long as he did. So there you go, guys. That's pretty much my review for Spider-Man New Ways to Die. So you guys tell me in the comments below, if you've read the comic, what did you guys think of it? Did you guys like it? Did you guys hate it? Did you think Dan Slott stayed too long? Was this one of your favorite stories? Just comment below, let me know, and once again, hope you all enjoyed this, and I will see you guys later.